Jacqueline.
That's me.
Katarina.
That's me.
Jake. Tali. And Flynn. Welcome, Hillsborough, and good luck.
Thank you.
Hey, you. Get back here. Alright, which one of you did it? And who was like?
My, what have we got here? A criminal, it may appear. The case, as you already know, has occurred at Paradise Point High School, where a schoolboy tagged the teacher's car with graffiti. So let's get down to business now. Rob Banks, you were one of the three suspects, along with Clay and Dan. I'm going to ask you some questions. Rob Banks, on the 14th of May, a teacher's car was tagged with graffiti, roughly around 9:50 a.m. You, Rob Banks, fit the description of a criminal seen by a CD player vandalising this book's car. So what do you have to say for yourself?
I had nothing to do with it.
And what about you, Dan?
No, why are you asking me?
And you, Clay? Well, we'll see what Detective Sandra Jones thinks about that.
Hello, I would first like to speak to CD player. Is there any information you would like to tell me?
Just that it happened around 9:50 a.m. when I realised I'd forgotten something that was needed for class.
Then what happened?
Then I started chasing, but he went round a corner and I lost sight of him. But I did manage to take a photo.
Is this the photo?
Yes.
Continue.
As I went round the corner, I reached a mountable building. I entered and asked who was late. 3 boys matched the description. So I took them to the principal's office and called the police.
Who was the police officer attending?
Sergeant Handscock.
Sergeant Handscock, enter the courtroom. You may now speak.
I did notice that Dan had a cut on his foot and was wearing a thong. He claimed to have got the cut in the morning by a smashed bottle. Also, I found some wood chips by Mrs. Brooks' car, which I labelled and put in a bag. I found a yellow spray can lid just under the car, which I photographed, labelled and put in a bag. I found a spray can labelled Buttercup Yellow under the building, which I photographed, labelled and put in a bag. Following the issue of forensic procedure, I took front and rear photos of the boys, took their shirts and swabs. I labelled Rob's shirt A, Clay's shirt B, and Dan's shirt C. I labelled Dan's swab S1, Clay's S2, and Rob's S3.
Who is your chemical analyst?
Professor Microscope.
Thank you, that will be all. I would now like to interview Professor Microscope. Professor, I would like you to give me your analysis on the items you took possession of on the 29th of May.
Okie dokie. Exhibit A, B and C being 3 white men's polo shirts, size small. Well, for your information, Exhibit A indicated amounts of a spread called Vegemite. Plus, Exhibit B indicated traces of sawdust, the same as on the crime scene. Guess what? Exhibit D, being a yellow plastic spray can lid, also had traces of Buttercup yellow paint. Exterior also showed traces of a certain type of glue. Now, Exhibit E, being the spray can used in the crime, is 400 grams and is also labelled Buttercup yellow. Also, the exterior found traces of the same sort of glue. And also found paint around the nozzle, Buttercup yellow, indicating that it had been used. This further indicates traces of glue again. Exhibit F is a bag of finely cut particles of wood, aka sawdust. Exhibit S1 and S2 is just a normal human hand swabs, but human heads from S3 had traces of blue ink, and the exterior also found S2 indicated traces of sawdust and glue. Now, I hope I have been much helped.
Interesting. I would now like to interview the principal of Paradise Point High School, guy in charge. Is there anything you would like to tell me that will help me with my case?
Only that I have checked the boys' timetables and found out what class they had that day.
Go on.
Both Rob Banks and Clay Potts had a class with Bill Player, who teaches commerce and economics.
I see. I would now like to talk to Bill Player. Bill Player, was Rob Banks out of class at around 9:50 a.m.?
Rob Banks was dismissed along with the rest of the class at 9:55 a.m. due to a phone call I received from a stockbroker. I had urgent business to attend to.
Thank you. I would now like to talk to Woody Cutner. So, Woody, where were Dan and Clay at around 9:50 a.m.?
Dan had been excused from class due to improper footwear, and as we were building a timber pole stand, it would have breached health and safety regulations. So I sent him out to the library to study. Clay remained for most of the lesson. However, he was excused to use the bathroom 5 minutes before my class ended.
Interesting. Who is the librarian at Paradise Point High School?
Paige Turner.
Thank you. You have been of much help. I would now like to talk to Paige Turner. Paige, did Dan go to the library and study?
Yes, he did.
Yes. Was he in there the whole time?
Yes, he did not leave until the first period was over.
Thank you.
Have you come to your conclusion?
Yes. Out of the information I was given, I have deduced that Clay Potts is the criminal that vandalised Mrs. Brooks' car. You see, there were wood chips on Clay Potts' shirt and on the crime scene. There was also pine resin on the spray can and on his swab. Not only was that, but there were also a glue substance on the can and his swab. And why, I hear you ask? Would there be glue and sawdust on the spray can and on Clay's swab? Well, because he went to design and technology, where they were making a timber hall stand. And as he being the only one who actually went to design and technology, it has to be him. But how did he do it on time? I hear you ask. Well, he was excused as clearly stated by Woody Cutner 5 minutes before the class ended to go to the bathroom. And it couldn't have been Dan because he was sent out of design due to improper footwear by Woody Cutner to study in the library. And as Paige Turner clearly states, he stayed in there until the first period was over. It couldn't have been Rob Banks because he was in Bill Play's class. So why would there be sawdust at the scene of the crime? I am sure you'll find Clay Potts guilty!
I see. I sentenced Clay Potts to 12 years of jail.
No! How did you catch me?
I'm sorry, Dan and Rob, for mistaking you're involved in this. But if I see
coming
you
with me.
both back here again, you'll both be sent back to jail like your friend.